The Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association presents Freshman Focus, a look at 2-year-olds in training across the Buckeye State. Freshman Focus is presented by Eldorado Scioto Downs, now racing Tuesday through Saturday, post time 5:45. By Sugar Valley Farm. Looking for your next quality standard-bred racehorse? Look no further than Sugar Valley Farm in Delaware, Ohio. By Prolific Equine, managing stallions and mares to create champions. By the Ohio State Veterinary Medical Center, caring down to a science. And by Wire-to-Wire Wealth, strategies tailored to your needs.
Welcome to another edition of Freshman Focus. We've made a trip to the Champaign County Fairgrounds here in Urbana for today's broadcast. We're going to feature 2 trainers today. First up will be Deb Swartz and her husband Russell, and then we'll make our way to the Kim Dailey stable here at Urbana as well. After these messages, we'll return and speak with Deb and Russell Swartz.
With over 30 years of experience in wealth planning and a lifetime of involvement in harness racing, Matt Franklin at Wire-to-Wire Wealth can help you build a financial plan that addresses the unique circumstances of those involved in the horse racing industry. Whether you are investing to build wealth, protect your family, or preserve your assets, Matt at Wire-to-Wire Wealth will work with you through the wealth planning process from start to finish.
At Ohio State's Galbraith Equine Center, our veterinary champions are here for your champions 24/7, 365 days a year. Our expert team of boarded surgeons, sports medicine and rehabilitation specialists, together with veterinary cardiologists, internal medicine, and ophthalmologists, make our hospital your best resource for all sport horse performance issues. The Ohio State Veterinary Medical Center's Galbraith Equine Hospital. Call us today at 614-292-6661.
Welcome back on Freshman Focus. We're sitting down, going to talk with the combination of Deb and Russell Swartz. Deb, in just the last few years, your stable has grown to what, you got about 25 horses now?
Yeah.
Is it different than when you started out?
Oh, a lot. They're going faster, you gotta buy better, a lot more work.
I was wondering when you was going to get to that lot more work, because managing that large of a stable and employees and such, that's a major task in itself.
Yeah, sometimes I make mistakes, but I mean, we've got a good crew of people working for us, you know.
You learn from your mistakes.
That's right. And you know, I've got, thanks to the USDA's training roster, you know, under me, I can put everything in there. I put my yearlings in there right off the bat, so I don't forget their real names, you know. And
you speak of real names. We've done a few of these broadcasts, and I go in and I say, where's this such and such a horse? I won't tell you the trainer's name. Asked him, where's this horse? And he said, I don't even have that horse. He didn't even know about the name change. So that runs into a little problem there. Russell, I've been after you for the last 2 or 3 years to get to that point where you have 1,000 winning drives.
2,000.
2,000, okay.
Yeah,
you're 1,994, if I remember correctly.
That is correct, yeah. I'm going to try to get there this year, which shouldn't be a big issue. I'd like to do it at the fairs because that's where I started out. Driving, you know, anything that anybody would let me drive back then, and I mean, you've kind of encouraged me to do this because I was really going to just let it go.
I started getting it after Russell on this. I think he was about 1,190 or something like that. No, it might have even been earlier than that, but last year he had 8 wins, so got a shot at it.
Yeah, I got some nice horses that'll be all right for the fairs, you know, maybe not quite good enough for the stake races at the track, and I'll take them around and try to teach them and maybe make them better and see what I need to do to change all that.
Now, I would say you really like the fairs because you just seem like a county fair guy.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, I never was, I never was a real raceway driver. I mean, I'd get a few drives here or there, and I felt comfortable at the fairs. I felt like, I was in kind of my own space at the fairs, and I would just drive aggressive at the fairs too, I mean, at the raceways until I had some good luck and got, in with a couple nice stables, Mike Metters and Steve Carter's stables there for a couple years. Then I kind of got into the groove of the drivers and stuff, and I had a lot of fun then, but there's nothing like going to the fairs. I just really like them. I enjoy the atmosphere, and they're going fast now though. Yeah. That's the only difference.
Those 8 wins last year, were they all with trotters?
Every one of them. I don't really care to drive a pacer anymore. Not that you can't get in accidents with trotters, but I just feel more comfortable with a trotter. I love my trotters. I just wish my whole barn was trotters, and well,
I mean, I know exactly where you're coming from. Deb, how many horses do you have in your whole stable?
So what, 26?
26. And how many of those are Ohio bred 2-year-olds?
8.
8. What's your preference, pacers or trotters?
Some of my best horses that I've really got attached to were trotters. Yeah. I had 2 that they were my pets.
Yeah, I thought there was one night at Miami Valley that they have nothing but, it seems like nothing but trot races. I think maybe out of the 14 races, 8 or 9 of them were trots. And for a minute, I didn't realize your stable was up to 25, 26 horses. And I thought, my gosh, Schwarzes they're racing all their horses in one night. I think it was 5 or 6 that night.
Yeah, that's the most we've had in at one night, is 5. That's a lot of work.
Now, your preference, you like to go to the race meets or the major tracks, or do you prefer county fair racing as well?
I like them both, but if I had to pick, I like the fairs. Yeah. You get to, you get to watch these babies grow up. You get to watch, you're sitting there, what you started with, and then you get to see them progress.
Now, your 2-year-olds, do you break all your 2-year-olds?
We break some of them, and then some of them we farm out. We broke, I don't know, 2 or 3 this year, and then some of them we farmed out to be broke.
The 2-year-olds you have, is it about equal between pacers and trotters, or?
Yeah, I think we got one more pacer than we do trotter right now.
We're going to tease you a bit here, but you got one trotter, and I'll let Ashley talk to you about that one. Comes up later. Let's not tell them who it is, but I know one of your horses, you're hoping some good things this year.
Yeah.
Time will tell, though.
Time will tell. A little early yet.
The one question I got, though, you can train them down, but you really don't know what you got until that qualifier in the first race or so.
No.
Because they do change.
They do. They do. First time away from home, new scenery, maybe a whole field of horses, you just don't know what you got until you get in the race.
Now, you're training here at the county fairgrounds here in Urbana.
Yep.
And I talked to Russ earlier today, and he just loves the Champaign County Fairgrounds.
I can't say enough good things about this place. Yeah. The people, the fair board, they're so horse friendly. The upkeep, anything you ask for, they try to get it for you. We had, between Russ and Richard, they work the track. It's just best fairgrounds we've ever been at.
Now, do you know the history of the barn that you're in here?
Just that it's real old.
It's real old. But this is a barn that's got a lot of history for Champaign County, but it's also got a lot of history for horses that raced on the Grand Circuit, the major racetracks and such. This is the Bob Seabrook barn, and you got to be my age and almost, well, Russell's not quite there yet. Got a few years to go. But
Right.
Bob Seabrook was one of the top horsemen in all of harness racing back in the 60s.
Huh.
And so this was his barn. They called it the Seabrook barn.
I'd heard somebody call it that.
Now, Russ, they have remodeled this barn, haven't they?
Yeah, they tore it out, you know, they gutted it completely and then put a new roof on it, new siding on it, new windows. And I mean, they really did an excellent job on this barn. I mean, I couldn't ask it for it to be any better than what it is, you know. I mean, it's just really a nice, comfortable barn. The aisleways wide, you know, you can drive 2 horses, you know, side by side in there, you know, and it's just really, it's got a lot of airflow to it, and I think that helps horses if they got some air, you know, that they can, you know, fresh air and stuff like that. So
You also like the racetrack.
yeah, this has got to be probably the best county fair track I've trained on in my life. You know, I mean, I've trained in Xenia for 10 years, I think it was, and I used to be up north and trained at Tiffin and Attica and them fairgrounds up there, and they was good tracks. I mean, I don't want anybody to get me wrong, they was good tracks, but this one here, the turns are really nice, the track surface is nice, and I really enjoy training horses here.
Now, Deb, he mentions the racetrack and things like that. That helps with soundness of horses.
Yes, it does. I mean, you know, when, like, you could train on this thing about any day of the week. Probably race on it. And the lameness issues has been very minimal. And I do a lot of therapy with the horses, you know. I've got red boots and I got Magna Waves, and I love the therapy.
Yeah.
It keeps the vet away for the most part.
That's good. Has the weather been all right that you haven't missed many days?
No, we haven't missed many days.
Yeah.
No. Couple, and that would, you know, and then, you know, he'd go out, if we get snow, he'd go out and grade it. Maybe there'd be a little ice or something over there. We'd skip the day, but he'd go out, if we got snow, he'd grade it. We could train on it late afternoon or late morning, early afternoon.
Now, the horses that you got in your barn, your 2-year-olds, have people given you horses to train, or did you go to the sales and purchase a lot of them?
Actually, our owner, we've got a couple homebreds in there for Brad Delaney. They're nice colts. And then old Harry Alltop, he wanted a trotting colt. He's been coming in and, you know, help jog. We got that Tura up for him. And he wanted a trotting colt. He wanted Russell trained trotting colt.
Is that the one you're a part owner with?
Yes.
I thought so.
And then a couple of our owners, I can't speak high enough about the owners. They're great. They wanted yearlings with us this year.
You know, a lot of times everybody puts maybe too much emphasis on the horse, but having owners that you get along with, can work hand in hand with them, is very important too in this business.
Absolutely. And these owners are great. You know, they pretty much treat them like they're yours. You know, do what you want.
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
Russ, do you remember I told you before we had this sit down that a recent column I did was about being an owner and everything, and I'm that owner that I don't pick the horse, I don't tell them where to race. I don't tell them how to train. I don't tell them what stakes to get in, and I leave everything up to the trainer to do his thing. And I guess in a way that's kind of a perfect owner, but if you've got an owner that's telling you do this and do that and do this and do that, man, that can create a lot of problems.
Yeah, you can't make owners like that happy, you know. I mean, like all of our owners now, and I mean, I appreciate them all so very much. You know, they say just they're your horses. You guys just do what you think. You know, if there's something major needs to be done, you know, let us know. But you know, and I mean, I can't say enough about any of the owners that we have in the barn. I mean, they're just, they let us kind of do our thing, and you know, some of them take a little bit longer to mature, and they understand that. And this has got to be probably the most patient owners and everything that I've had ever.
Makes the job a lot easier.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Now, the normal schedule, most people qualify these 2-year-olds sometime in June, get to the races in July, because that's when the stake season gets underway. We're getting into matinee season. Will you take them any other place for matinees?
We don't normally. We'll matinee them right out here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Urbana does have a matinee.
Yeah, we did that last year, and we'll get our gate out and we'll gate school them, you know. But I don't go to matinees.
Now, have you got the horse? When you go to the staking route, do you stake them to everything at the beginning and then drop some of them as they progress, or how do you handle that staking?
You know, yeah, no. Some of the ones that are doing it naturally, we'll stake them.
Yeah.
You know, and then you know, we always go to the Buckeye.
Yeah.
Your Buckeye's your backup.
Yeah.
And we've got a few in here, you know. Whether they'll make it or not, I don't know. It's too early, but they're sired, they're Buckeyed, you know, they're state faired. It just depends on where he thinks they're at come that staking time.
Well, let's in on a secret. This is a dual freshman focus, and I could talk all day with you guys and go forever, but we got to go to a break and take a look at some of the horses, because we've got another stable. Kim Dailey will be going to her barn as well today, so we have to cut things a little short. But I thank you ever so much for making it so easy for us today, and we wish you the best of luck coming up in
we're glad to have you guys here.
season. Okay, so after this message, we'll return, and Ashley Dailey go through the barn and take a look at the 5 2-year-old Ohio breds in the Schwarz stable.
Captain Kirk is standing his second year in 2025 here in the state of Ohio, and he's attracting some of the best brood mares in the entire industry. You want to breed to a stallion that can step your mare up. And if you're breeding to sell those foals, you have to breed to the stallion that the biggest bidders will pay a premium to acquire. Captain Kirk stands at Winterwood Farm, and his introductory stud fee of only $3,000 ends after the 2025 season. So book your mare today. Write down this website. Go to CaptainKirkInfo.com to get all the details right now.
Welcome back to Freshman Focus. We just finished up Roger's sit-down interview with Russ and Deb Swartz, so let's go head on inside and see 5 of their upcoming 2-year-olds. Our first stop is KB Full Moon, a gelding pacer by Fool Me Once out of Luna, Hanover, a Western Ideal mare. Now, Russ, we talked a lot about trotters, and here we are starting off with the pacer.
Yeah. This is a homebred. The owner had the mare. You know, we had actually claimed her, and we really liked her, so he went ahead and bred her, and you know, he's got a half brother that's actually a 3-year-old this year. That he's an all right colt, but he's kind of laid back and everything. And this colt here, he's completely different. He likes his job. He wants to go out and do it, and he's got a really nice gait to him.
I didn't realize you had his mom for a bit. She made over $200,000 in her lifetime and had a pretty decent mark as well. Did they share any common, any same characteristics that you tend to like?
This colt here does. She was always a little sparky, you know, and he's a little sparky, you know. I mean, like, you don't want to say boo too quick because he'll be gone, you know. But I mean, he's got a lot of, he's getting more sense to him every day, and you know, actually, this is one that my brother, he really likes, and I don't hardly ever get to jog him, but you know, he is really a nice colt. I really like him. I like his size. I like his gait, and I think he's a really nice colt. I think he's going to be all right.
And with him being a little sparky, I guess, how is he rigged?
You know, just you know, I put blind bridles on them all because I want them to focus. And now this colt does have two burr head pulls on, but that was just because he had such a rubber neck when he was younger, and I think you could probably take one of them off now, but you know, why? You know, because he's going so good. Just a pair of hobbles, and that's about it, you know. Doesn't wear a hood, doesn't wear, I'm sure he'll wear earplugs when he races, but not at this point anyhow.
What's he training in right now, training down to?
Trained him yesterday in 218.
And what kind of group does he go with? Do you tend to have fillies and colts together, or you like to keep your colts in the same group?
You know, I mean, I'll train them with the trotters every once in a while because I like going with the trotters and just to try to get them, you know, set up right. And but like yesterday, we trained them with one of the other pacing fillies that we'll be talking about here in a little bit, and but they did that in hand, and you know, didn't really, you know, was really happy with them all.
And there is KB Full Moon, a gelding pacer. Next, we are going to stop with a gelding trotter, Reddy Russell. I'm assuming probably a namesake for you.
Well, yeah, it kind of got shoved at me, you know. The owner, he called me that night and he said, I don't like his name. He says, I'm going to change it. And he said, I'm going to make it Reddy Russell. And I couldn't really, you know, I didn't really have anything to say at the moment, and he had already changed it, you know, when he bought him, so kind of got stuck, you know, with that name. But I do like him.
And how is he going on the track right now?
He's doing really well, you know, trained in 219, did it really nice. You know, he's a little bit of a small colt. But I mean, you know, that's kind of the reason that I probably got him bought for what I did. You know, he's got a half brother that won Sire State Championship last year and made over $300,000, and but you know, just really got a good attitude and wants to do it, and really likes to race the other horse.
I'm glad you brought his half-brother up. That was something that I first noticed. So he is a half-sibling to LT Loverboy, who at just 2 years old, just last year, made over 300, a mark in 156-1, and was, of course, our 2-year-old colt of the year. Do you have expectations for him because of that?
Well, you know, I mean, if you look at LT Loverboy and you look at him, you're going to see quite a bit of a size difference, you know, in the two horses. I don't really care if they're small, because if they've got the want and the, you know, the desire to do it, they can do what a big horse can do. I'm hoping that he's that kind of a colt, and right at this moment, you know, he feels like he could be that kind of a colt. So, you know, we'll just have to see what the next 18 seconds or so gives us.
And there is Ready Russell, a gelding trotter by Ready for Money out of For the Love of Lindy, a Cantab Hall mare. Our next stop is a filly pacer, Eyes Up by Lather Up out of Dazzling Rocket, a rock and roll Hanover mare. Russ, this was actually a little bit one of your cheaper purchases. She was only about $8,500 out of the Blooded Horse sale.
Yeah, she, the guy that owns her, Harry, he had a Lather Up filly last year that I raced at 3, and he just really liked Lather Up, and so we seen her, and his wife seen her, and just really loved her, and so that's how we kind of ended up with her, you know. I mean, she had a pretty good pedigree, and thought that, you know, she could be something that was even maybe a little nicer than the mare was last year that they had. So.
And so I know we talked a little bit about Roger and your owners this year, but Harry's pretty special. Harry's been a staple at this county fairgrounds for a very long time. When it comes to working with him, how much do him and his wife Darlene have a say in what goes on?
Well, I mean, they kind of let us do what we want to do. You know, I mean, he come in and he'll jog them every once in a while, and he'll say, "Oh, we ought to do this, or this," you know. And I'm saying, "No, maybe later, you know, or something like that." But I mean, they really don't, you know, say anything, you know. I mean, he's got an opinion here or there, and sometimes I take him and sometimes I don't, you know. And it just, you know, this filly here is really natural. I mean, just really, you know, really likes her job, and paces really nice, and I've got a lot of high expectations for her.
When it comes to staking, then do we always stake every 2-year-old to the OSS and down, or what does she stake to?
She's staked to pretty much everything. I don't usually like, and a lot of people, you know, give me heck for not putting in at Delaware, but I feel like if a 2-year-old gets to that point, you know, and you've been racing them a little bit at the fairs, a little bit in them races, I feel like most of them's had enough, and I'd rather turn them out maybe a little fresh than being, you know, just wrung out, you know. I don't like to start a 2-year-old more than about 8-10 times at the absolute most. I mean, if I got a sire stake final or a Buckeye final or something like that, I will. But that would be the only occasion that I would race them.
Now, did you break her out on your own, or is she one that you sent out?
We actually sent her to out to Matt Rowe, and they broke them for us, and you know, I had a couple horses for him, so he broke them, and
any quirks to how she's moving, or things that you've had to work through on the pace with her?
No, she's been pretty natural right from day one. I mean, she's been pretty much flawless. You know, I can't say enough good things about her.
There is Eyes Up, our filly pacer. Our next stop is Off the Rails, a filly trotter by Enterprise out of Broadway Fantasy. Of course, a Broadway hall mare. It's actually a homebred.
Yes. Yeah, the vet that I used to use for years and years, he had this filly, and we actually own another one together that we had bought last year, but But this filly here, you know, he really liked the mare, and we tried to buy his brother back. You know, they wanted to go a certain price, and I wanted to go a certain price, and it just went for a little bit more than what I was willing to give. And so anyhow, this year, you know, she's an enterprise, first one I've ever had. The first year that Enterprise come out, I tried to buy a couple, and at that point I was kind of glad that I didn't get any, but you know, they have come around. You do see some nice ones coming around here and there. And this filly here, you know, she's out of a Broadway Hall mare and just really has, you know, tons of ability. Late foal, so, you know, a little immature yet, but just really like the way she goes.
I have to say, the first thing I noticed was her name, Off the Rails. That is a choice for a filly trotter.
Yeah.
Hope she doesn't go off the rails.
Right.
So what has her temperament been like? You said a little immature.
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, like when Matt and them broke her, you know, they really had a hard time getting her bridle on. And, you know, a couple of them boys are pretty big, and she'd throw them around the stall like they was, you know, a paper sack or something. But, you know, I mean, the more we work with her, the better she gets. You know, if you don't do something to aggravate her, she's really been pretty good. She's real willing out on the track, and, you know, do pretty much anything you want her to do, so.
And what is she training down in right now?
She's been in 19.
19.
Yeah,
And then does she go with the boys as well?
Yeah, she goes with, you know, yesterday I trained her with another pacer. So, you know, but yeah, I try to, you know, mix them up a little bit, you know. And
do you do that because your stable, you know, your 2-year-olds are a little on the smaller side compared to some of our larger stables? Is that a necessity, or do you think there is real benefit with cross training like that?
Yeah, I have to think that it is, you know. I mean, you know, because, I mean, a pacer does it a lot easier. They'll go on when maybe a trotter won't. If they're kind of following them, you know, like when I train, I train 2 trips, and one of them will cut the first one, and the other one will cut the second one. And I think it just, it teaches them more speed. You know, training them with pacers.
So there we go, Off the Rails, our filly trotter. Our last stop is a gelding trotter, Call for Money, a Ready for Money out of Call Your Mother, a Donato Hanover mare. I have to say, all of your horses I've noticed are in such good condition with their coat, excuse me. Do you feed anything special? What's your regimen on that?
No, not really. I mean, we feed race ready, and we give them, you know, like every day after they come in from jogging, we have hay cubes or hay pellets that we wet and, you know, give to them every day after they jog, and I don't know, it just seems like, you know, they do look shiny, and, you know.
Tell us what he's been doing on the track.
He's really probably my most natural gaited one. You know, me and Harry, you know, we bought him. He wanted a trotter, you know, and I said, I'll go partners with you on one. And you know, I just bought him just because when I was looking at film for the sale and stuff, that I just liked him. You know, I liked the way he went. I liked the way he acted, and you know, I don't know that his family's real strong, but you know, that doesn't necessarily mean anything either, you know, in this day and age, so.
I did notice, so his mare, I think she only raced 1 time and was 6, didn't even get a check in her only lifetime start. When you're going through a sales catalog, how much attention are you paying to that pedigree?
My personal opinion, and the most I've had luck with, is I don't even care if I'd rather a mare didn't race. You know, I'd rather have a, you know, because I mean back in the day that's what I used to be able to afford to buy. And I always had a lot of luck with them, so that's just kind of the way I've always done, you know. I can't go out, I couldn't at that time, I couldn't go out and give 50, 60,000 for a yearling, and I mean I would have had to probably borrow off of everything I ever owned, you know, to do something like that. And so, you know, I mean I was kind of brought up with the, you know, cheaper colts and everything, and I mean I've had some success with them as far as sire stakes and stuff, but you know, I mean I just really like this colt, you know. I mean he's got a good attitude, really wants to do it, and you know, trots, I mean I love these ready for monies. I think they're really good gaited, and I couldn't be happier with the two that I have.
Say the colts and fillies, they never know what you pay for them.
Right. Right. Yeah, and they don't. You know, they don't know if you paid, you know, 100,000 for them or if you give, you know, 5,000 for them. You know, they just don't know.
Now your trotting colts are a little bit on the smaller side, but the filly was a little bit larger. Do you care? Do you care much about size with trotters, especially, you know, being stable on a half-mile track?
You know, no. I mean, I would have liked these two to grow up a little bit more. Like this colt here, he grew up a lot more than Reddy Russell did. You know, now I really feel like as a 2-year-old, in between their 2- and 3-year-old year is when they'll really show you your growth spurt. You know, a lot of them will grow up through the summer, and you'll say, that isn't that cold, is it? And you say, yeah, and they say, wow, how much he grew, you know. So, you know, I just really love training young horses. I love teaching them. Back in the day, I used to maybe lose my patience a little bit, but, you know, now that I've got older, I just kind of go with it and try to figure out what I need to do to make them better.
Have you changed much rigging on him from the start, or how has he progressed?
No, I haven't really changed anything on him. He just wears a blind bridle, snaffle bit, a line pole inside, and a pair of trotting boots.
And there rounds us out, Call for Money, a gelding trotter.
Racing is back at El Dorado Scioto Downs. Catch the excitement all summer long. Live racing every Tuesday through Saturday nights. First race post time is 5:45. Mark your calendar to see the future stars with a $150,000 Next Generation on July 5th. Thrilling harness racing at El Dorado Scioto Downs. Horse players can earn points with the Caesars Reward Program. El Dorado Scioto Downs. Live racing is back.
Welcome back to Freshman Focus. And as you can see, we're in the Kim Dailey stable here at Urbana. Kim, we've been with Russ and Deb Swartz for the last hour or so with their 2-year-olds. Now we're switching tracks and we're back here at your barn. When did you first arrive here? Well, I know you worked for what, Dick Buxton?
Dick Buxton when I was a junior in high school, and I graduated in my senior year, and I come to work for him full time till he passed.
That was a good guy to start out working for, wasn't
I learned a lot.
You know, knowing Dick all my life and everything like that, and he's one of the guys I always looked up to. And the first fair I ever announced was right here at Urbana in 1960, and of course Curly Smart was here, and Dick Buxton, Bob Seabrook.
Bob Seabrook, I remember Bob. My mom and dad had horses over in his barn.
There's tremendous history with the Champaign County Fairgrounds over the years, and Russ told us in the broadcast today that this is probably the best place he's ever trained horses.
Yes. Well,
you feel the same way?
Yes, which I've been here all my life, so I've been to Lebanon with Bill before he moved up here. So.
What makes Urbana so special? I don't say it's home, because I know it's home.
It's home.
What makes the fairgrounds and the racetrack so special?
The racetrack's always good. I mean, my brother, and you know, he keeps it. With Bill, always kept it up till he passed, and my brother took over, and he keeps it nice. And they let us. The Fair Board let us.
Yeah.
You know, they're good to us.
Been some history on that racetrack as well, because I remember in those days. I remember when B.F. Coldtown set the. I don't know. It might have been a world's record, or I know it was a track record here at Urbana, and it was only like 2:04 on a half-mile track or something. But it was one of the speediest racetracks in the whole state of Ohio.
Nice racetrack. Yeah.
Okay. How many horses you got in your barn?
I've got 18.
18.
18.
Now, how many are 2-year-olds?
10.
10. All Ohio breds?
Yes.
Any dual eligibles?
No.
Don't plan on going out of the state?
No, I stay right here.
And some people on those dual eligibles, they want it, I guess, for maybe chance to race for more money or something like that. But with the purses here in Ohio, I just don't think you need it, really.
Yeah, right. It's just nice. Stay right here, right at home, right in Ohio.
Now, you've been involved in racing for so many years. Back when Ohio was number one and everything, then we kind of dropped off the list and such like that. But Ohio's back being number one, especially for purses and things like that, and number of horses and such. Things have really changed over the years lately.
Yes.
Do you ever think you'd see an open pace go for 39,000?
No.
It's unreal.
I wish I had one that could go for it.
Well, never know. You never know.
My red horse was good for a while, and he just kind of fell off. So.
Yeah. How do you like your 2-year-olds you got this year?
I like them. They're all doing what we ask, and they're all still sound.
How important is it that they do what you ask?
If they want to do the job, I think it's the big. If they don't want to go out and do their job, you know, that's the big problem. If they like it, that's a
Can equipment changes and things like that change their attitude, though?
Yeah. Equipment changes, and I kind of try to kick them out a lot, change their mindset. So,
have you ever had a horse that you really didn't change equipment on them from the get-go? The perfect horse from Morton?
Well, I don't know if there's ever such thing as a perfect one. I think everybody's got their little kinks, I think. I don't think I've had anything that we've made bridle changes and bit changes and
that equipment has to be for that particular horse, because every horse is different.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have a preference, trotters or pacers?
No, I like them both. I mean, I like the trotters, but
of your total barn, is it half and half?
Half and half.
Really?
Yes.
Usually it's about 2/3 and a third.
With my 2-year-old, yes, they're half and half. So.
Now, do you go to the sales and buy horses, or do owners have the horses and give to you?
Usually I'm at the sale. We've Kathy Ratcliffe and Jerry Zozelle raised. We have that. I got a fill-in Fran, and we usually have a baby out of her.
Yeah.
And I got a Pet Rock out of her this year. So.
Pet Rock, boy, he's been around for a while, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Now I think he stands in Indianapolis or something?
I'm not sure where.
Or Indiana, I should say. But I think this might be the last crop of Pet Rocks in Ohio. As 2-year-olds, I think.
I think you're right, yes.
What's more important, the Stallion or the dam?
That I really don't know. But my husband always told me they don't know their mommies or their daddies, or how much you pay for them. Is always what he told me, and that always stuck with me. But I don't know. You think the sire would be, but a lot of people think you got to have a decent mare. But I've seen mares that maybe never raced and produce.
A lot of trainers have said, of course, the Stallion is very important. But then you look at the dam, and the Stallion has more to do with the mating than the dam as far as the outcome. But the dam is a major choice. They've got to be a good horse almost.
Something there.
Yeah.
Maybe go back in their
Do you
love them.
try to keep away from first crop horses when you go to the sale?
No. I think sometimes, you know, you get lucky.
Yeah.
And they're going to hit.
Now, everybody's got seems like a summa cum laude, but do you have one?
I got one filly.
How is she?
She's okay.
Yeah.
She's all right.
Of the trotters, what stallions do you have?
I got a Ready for Money, Long Tom.
Then on the pacing side, we got, you got to muscle up the goal, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But she's not trotting.
What?
She's got pacing hobbles.
Is,
We've tried everything. She does not want to trot.
wow.
And you know, I just said, you know, let's let her pace. She don't want to go out there and trot. And she's been right with my pacers right now. So
How fast did you realize that?
we was in probably a couple months. I mean, we played and played. We tried everything to make her trot, and she just didn't want to trot. So I said, let's throw the hobbles on and see what happens.
So it really wasn't a mistake in breeding, or like this. You know,
No.
we got Doc's mistake,
Right.
and Doc's
Yeah.
boo-boo, and things like
Yeah.
that, which were actual mistakes. But she just went. Is there any in her pedigree going back that shows any trot?
No.
I mean, pace. I mean,
No. Okay, yeah. I even talked to Chris Beaver about her, and
Yeah.
he said, "Oh, his trying to trot." And I said, "Mine don't want to trot."
So you gotta just. That's the one thing the horse is going to tell you.
Yeah. So, and if she may tell me later that she don't want pace, but right now she's pacing right with my pacers.
Now, did you break all your 2-year-olds?
No, I've sent them off to get broke.
Okay.
My guys and me they're up in age, and we just figured I'd take a chance on getting hurt. It just works out best that way. So
Yes. It makes it easier on your employees.
yes.
by
When they
far.
come back, they're nice broken.
How long does it usually take to get one when you send them out? How long do they have the?
Usually a month.
Really?
Yeah, and if he's got a bad one, he knows I want them broke, and he'll say, "Let me keep it another couple weeks and see what we got." And it's worked out. So usually a month they're out.
We had a trainer just recently make a statement that he doesn't send them out very often, but he sent this one out and came back. It was a totally different horse.
Yes.
So
they do a good
they
job.
got to touch sometime.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's why they're in the business and
Yes,
doing it.
right.
Yeah. Now, your horses, you got a matinee coming up here. Will they be matineed here at Urbana?
The plan is, yes. I've raised
How much you been with them?
around 20 with about everything. So.
Trotters and
Yep,
the pacers?
Yep.
Now, most people maybe I have 2 or 3 second difference, but
But there might be a little there, here and there, but most of them they're right at.
probably you might have a trotter who will beat a
Yes.
pacer
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
The matinee, then it'll just be the Urbana matinee though, right? You
Yeah.
won't go to others.
No, I don't think I'll go anywhere
And
else.
then qualify them in
Yeah.
the end of June.
Yep. Unless we hit, there's Circleville and
Yeah.
a couple early fairs. We'll just see where they're at, and
You won't take them right to the raceways.
I don't know. I might some of them.
Yeah.
Probably.
In the staking, do you stake them to everything at the beginning?
Yes, I think 2-year-olds you have to.
Because you don't
'Cause
know what you got.
You don't know what you got. So.
It'd be horrible to have the best horse in the state and not be eligible to sire stakes.
Right. Right.
I'm sure that's happened to somebody somewhere.
Yes, it has. I know a couple people that's done that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the Ohio Harness Horsemen Association, in cooperation with Delaware, all Ohio breds are eligible now to the jug and the jugette and the trotting events as well. And it has increased the entries later on in the program, just like they wanted to do.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier. You don't have to make that initial call.
Yeah.
Used to be the breeding farms would nominate their horses. Do they still do that?
I'm not sure how that works.
I don't. At one time, I know you go to the sale, it'd say down at the
Down at the
bottom.
bottom,
thing,
yes. They
those
got them
horses
listed what they're
eligible,
eligible for,
this and
yes.
everything. Yeah. The stable has progressed. I know you haven't missed very many days here, a few days this winter and
Just
such.
for the cold.
So would you say that your 2-year-olds are about the same stage they were in past years?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, because we don't miss many days.
What if you got a 2-year-old that just wants to do more? He wants to go more. Do you control him or what?
Yeah, I've tried to. Not to let him, over for what we think he's ready for.
But isn't it a fine line, though, that you're drawing? Because if you really hold him back too much...
Yes, yeah. Yeah, so we try to team him up to where,
Do you change equipment a lot?
Not... Well, if we got one, yeah. If it's, not doing what driving wise and stuff like that, yeah. So we'll add head poles or shadow roll or, let's try, the hobbles might need let out or took up. And
now, I got to ask you, we don't want him to hear this, but your brother.
Yes.
How is it working with him?
He's all right.
Really?
Yeah, we got to get along.
No family disputes or anything?
No.
I think everybody gets along with Rich Dingle.
Yeah. We try not to cause no ruckus.
Was the whole family here in Champaign County from the get-go?
Yeah. My dad started.
Yeah.
Him and Mom had horses, and Dad worked another job, and he done it in the evenings as a hobby. And
so does it go back any further than your dad for harness racing?
My mom's dad bought in with Mom and Dad with horses, but no, it was Mom, the love of horses.
A great addition to the Ohio Harness Horseman Association is your daughter, Ashley. Does she ever come out and jog horses or anything like that?
I've had her a couple times, yep.
Probably doesn't have as much time now.
No time, she says.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can call that she would be the third generation.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But get as much work out of her you can. Looking forward to the wedding coming up.
Yeah.
Ashley's over here maybe going to pull a Bill Belichick's girlfriend thing. We're not going there. I won't go any further, Ashley. But anyway, I always felt like you guys, since Ashley started working with us, it's almost like family and such. But I must admit one thing. Let you in on a little secret, folks. I have asked Kim Dailey to do something probably every year for the last 3 or 4 years, and she has turned me down. Turned me down. I can't do that. Can't do that.
I don't like to talk.
What changed your mind all of a sudden?
Well, I think the pressure of the daughter and I guess I can suffer through it.
If you notice, I did not ask you to do this. That was in the plan.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, Kim, we thank you for giving us some time and talking with us, and we're going to go through the barn here with your daughter, Ashley, and talk about the 2-year-olds that she's got that are Ohio breds in training. After these words, we'll be back with more of Freshman Focus.
Joe Fresh locks it down in the Breeders' Crown and a record 6 crowns for Dexter Dunn.
Welcome back to Freshman Focus. I'm really excited to get you into my stomping grounds today. Let's go ahead and head inside and talk to my mom about 5 of her up-and-coming 2-year-olds. Our first stop is a gelding pacer, Pet Project, by Pet Rock out of I Got a Feelin' Fran, a Feelin' Frisky mare. Mom, this is a homebred for you. Actually, you share quite a bit of history with this whole family. Why don't you tell us about that and how you still have I Got a Feelin' Fran?
Well, we still own her. We breeding her, and this is the Pet Rock we got out of her this year, and he broke easy. He's doing everything that we ask him to do, right on schedule. Come here, bud.
And Franny, so that's what we called her. She was quite a remarkable mare herself. She actually was a Triple Crown winner at 3, made almost $600,000 in her lifetime, and a mark in 150-1. Yeah. Now, compared to his other siblings, you've had a couple. how is he ranking next to them? Are there qualities that you're liking?
Well, you see a lot of the same in them in the barn, taking care of them. The racetrack, like they say, they do what you ask. And Jim Dandy's just, you know, his brother from last year. I think Jim Dandy's more. Not that this colt don't want to do his job. I think you got to ask this colt more than you had to ask Jim Dandy. Jim Dandy just do it. This colt you might want to, you know, maybe it'll come in. It's just young, but you got to ask him to do it. He will do it, but you got to ask him to do it.
Now, when you're saying ask, does it help? You and Roger talked about, you know, equipment changes and things like that. What have you done so far? Has opening him up, maybe closing him down?
We had a blind bridle on him. We went to a can't see back where he could see more, and he seems like he's a little more interested in doing his job that way.
And what do we say they're training down in right now?
We're around 20 with about everything. So.
Do you also, when we talked to Russ a little bit earlier, they'll train trotters and pacers together. Do you do the same?
We try to put the pacers together, but we do got some trotter, you know, because you're kind of offset with one. So some of them, I got a trotter that goes with the pacers, and matter of fact, he goes with this one. And the other day, and they train really well together. So.
And what is he all staked to? Because there was a point in time where we really kind of got away from staking to the Ohio Sire Stakes, but really you've gotten back into it.
Yeah, so he's staked to the Ohio Sire Stakes, the Buckeye, the OCRA Fairs, Fair Championship, it's the Breeders' Crown, and State Fair. I think we went to all of them. So with this colt. So.
And when it comes to a homebred, of course, you own part of them, but Kathy and Jerry have quite a bit of say too.
Yes.
When do you get your first look at these colts? Is it when they get into the barn, or are you going out?
When I get him, unless I want to make a trip. Kathy looks at them. She goes and sees them when they're born. They're Midland Acres, and that's where this colt was until it was time to break him. So I don't see him till. I didn't see him till I took him to get broke. So.
And Roger brought up that Pet Rock's been around for a while. What about this colt? Why did we decide to go back to Pet Rock?
Just what nice stud. I think, you know, produces. We try to not have the same one every, you know, switch up with the studs on the mare.
And there is Pet Project, a gelding pacer. Our next stop is Muscle Carlos, bred to be a filly trotter that is actually pacing. She's a muscle up the goal out of Allegra Amy, a crazed mare. So this was actually a $7,000 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic. So can you tell us what she's doing on the track right now?
Well, she was supposed to be trotting, but right now she got pacing hobbles on. We've tried everything to try to make her trot. She just does not want to trot. So I said, let's let her pace until she tells us she don't want to pace anymore, and she's stuck right with our pacers training. So.
And when it comes to those hobbles, before you put them on, was she trying to pace?
Yes, she would just pace. Yes, she'd want to pace on her own, and we've tried weight and everything else to try to make her trot, and she just does not. She'd still pace with the weight and all. So she just wants to pace.
Does that bother you, or if they want to go forward, you don't care how they go?
No, I don't care how they go. If they want to go do it their way, I'm all right with that.
And with your owner, do you own 100% of this filly? Okay, so you have nobody to answer to anyway.
No.
When it comes to rigging then with the hobbles, anything else when you made that shift? Did we change bits? Did we change bridles, or just kept going?
Just kept going. Just the hobbles.
And her mare, her mom actually, she does have a couple other siblings, but they have not raced. When you're looking at pedigree, do you look too deep into that, or are you just really looking at conformation and stuff when it comes to the sales?
I look at it, but I kind of go on know what I can spend to buy one, and if I like the horse, and I liked a lot of horses that went for way too much money that I wasn't going to be able to afford. So I just kind of go on what I can afford, and the horse too. I mean, I liked her, but she just don't want to trot.
And how is she staked?
I just fair staked her and Buckeye. I didn't sire stake her. I just Buckeye in the fairs and fair championship.
Now, being a filly trotter, I know they get a bad rep. We've talked about it a couple different times today, actually. Did she ever had a bad attitude, or just didn't want to stay on the trot?
she never had a bad attitude. She's willing to do, but she just don't want to try it. I mean, she's we got an ear hood on her. She gets a little excited, but other than that, she's just wants the pace.
Pretty simple then. When it actually comes to the pace, it was.
Yeah, just flipping her over because that's what she wanted to do.
And there is Muscle Carlos, a bred-to-be filly trotter, but is pacing. Our next stop is a gelding pacer Rose Run Balance. This is a lather-up gelding out of Tiger Boudoir, a Western Hanover mare. This is one that you own with a couple different people and was just a $12,000 purchase out of the Ohio Selected Jug Sale. What about this horse caught your eye to begin with?
Well, Jerry liked him. I've always wanted a lather up, and Jerry asked me if I'd take a part of him, so I bought part of him, and he's you know, and I like the Rose Run Farms. It seems like they raise nice colts. And he's been the most improved horse. When we first got him, I wasn't real confident that, you know, his barn name's High Head because if it would rain, he'd drown because he just hold his head up so high. But now he's really got it down now. I mean, he's really improved. Nice colt, I think.
So, was that your only worry then? Was that his only quirk, was holding his head up the way that he did?
Yeah.
And then once it came down, it's just been a perfect fit?
I mean, it's not, he's got a tie down on him, but he's got his head still, but nothing like he did. He'd been every day, he was just straight up in the air. We've had chiropractors look at him thinking something was wrong. We've had his teeth thinking something was in his mouth, but nothing really. This one day he finally got it. I didn't think I don't have to go with my head straight up in the air.
You brought up chiropractors, things of that nature. We actually were talking, again, to Deb earlier. They do a lot of different therapies, really like you do here. How quickly do you introduce the TheraPlate, whatever it may be, to your 2-year-olds, or do you wait till they're really starting racing?
I haven't done the TheraPlate yet on them. But like you say, the chiropractor and stuff like that, I've had him here several times already doing some. I think it helps. Just like us, if you got something out, I really do believe in chiropractor work. But yeah, I called him in on this colt real early, just because we thought something was going on, maybe with his head, neck, something. But it seemed to help, but it still didn't really fix the problem until the colt decided he wants to finally put his head down where it's supposed to be.
Did you say he is your first lather up you've trained? Now, out of everything else in the barn, are there certain things that you're noticing you like more about him that maybe could attribute to being a lather up? Or have you talked to any other trainers to compare?
No, I haven't seen anybody that's with the lathered ups. I like the stud, and I like to train one, and he's got a nice long gait on him.
And when it comes to on the track, he seems to be playing around a little bit. How does that translate when it comes to work?
We got one head pull on him right now. He needs two. He's just kind of all over the racetrack. And in here, he'll play around a little bit, and he likes to stand there and paw. He likes the tension that way. But he's pretty decent on the track. He just a colt and learning. I think the head pull. We get the two of them broke to him. I think he'd be just fine.
We've got the matinee coming up in a couple of weeks. But are you going to show your 2-year-olds that gate before then?
Probably will. Because I got a little gate we hooked to the truck, and I'll probably show it to them before. Which, that's what the matinee's all for, but I still like to show them something that, they know what's going on.
And there is Rose Run Balance, a gelding pacer. Our next stop is going to be a filly trotter that is staying trotting. CS Niffy Girl by Long Tom out of 51K, a Sebastian K mare. This is another one you have a little bit of history with as far as siblings go, but maybe not the best of luck as it has been. So why don't you give us a little bit of introduction to that?
Okay, well, we had her brother last year, and we thought really highly of him. He went out in 59, and I don't know if it was a matinee out here or qualifier. Thought he was really going to, be something, and then we had some lameness issues. We had to do some surgery on that, and he needs to mature up here between his eyes. She acts like she's got a little more little more sense than him. I hope she stays that way. But she's a nice filly, trotting nice. And
you bought her for $13,000 out of the Buckeye Classic. Now, did you go in aiming for her because
Yes.
you had previous?
Yes. I just, and then after I seen her, I really liked her. I thought she was well put together, made better than him. I think. I think that colt was just so big, and he's still big. I mean, but I think she just nice sized, well conformation and all. But yes, I went in. That's who I went to look at. So,
When you bring up conformation, what did you first notice about her that you knew you wanted?
well, I mean, she stands nice. Like I say, she stands nice. I think she travels good. And
When it comes to the maturity and the brain part, if we have some viewers that maybe don't fully understand what that means, how would you explain it?
well, I think that some young ones they're just too young. I think they're like kids. They gotta mature, and I think you can really make one if it's on the verge of being a little hot or something. You just gotta watch how you train them and how you handle them. They get, they learn. They're learning. They're learning process. You can't let them get out of control on you if they're, you try to fix them.
And you've had no problems, I guess, being like her brother. You haven't seen that.
No,
from
we haven't
her.
seen that out of her. Knock on wood. It's she ain't seen the starting gate yet. Like he kind of lost his mind when he seen the starting gate. So
When it comes to boots, anything, is she special or is she pretty
no,
plainly
just
rigged?
try her brace bandage and scalpers, and she's pretty simple.
Any spookiness on the track as she want to
No,
look at
she's
things?
really good, that cat. Really good.
And she is going how fast down with that group?
She's about, I think Steve's been around 18. I think she might have been an 18 mile.
And there
18
is
to 20 on all of them. So
There is CS Niffy Girl, a filly trotter. Our final stop is a filly pacer, I Want Mo, a Fool Me Once out of Mach May Hanover, a Mach 3 mare. Now, she was just a $1,500 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic. I think she is possibly the cheapest foal that we have seen on our show so far, but there's a little bit of a story behind this. You really didn't mean to buy her.
no, I was already paid for my other horses I bought. She was late in the sale, and I said I should have went home, but I said I'm just going to sit down here and watch them finish. Well, they wasn't going for no money. And I said I needed one more to make it even. So I tried to tell myself that's why I bought her. But I liked the looks of her when she was up in the ring. I kind of maybe passed by her in the barn before she come in, but I didn't think, I'd stick around. I already had what I wanted. Bought and spent. Like I say, I paid for them already, and I sat back down and no one was bidding on her. And she come home with me. So
Has it been a pleasant surprise for you?
yeah, she's a nice filly. I mean, she's a little filly, but she's a nice filly. She can go.
Has she been a natural from the start, or has it been kind of a learning curve?
Day one, a natural. She just loves the pace, loves her job. She likes to go.
And you really can't teach them on that. We've said that many
Yes.
times. You can't
If
teach
they wanna
one
do
how
it.
to go.
No, they want to do it. But she's willing. She likes it. I'm hoping I done a good purchase.
Did we go out on a limb then, or what is she staked to? Is
No, because I own her. I didn't go on the limb. I went to the fair circuit, the Western, and then I went to Buckeye. I did put her in the Buckeye. So I had a little filly there a few years back I give hardly nothing for in the Pompatus of Love. And this little filly kind of reminds me of her because she was little and just stalky built like her. And she surprised me, that filly. I'm glad I put her in a Buckeye because I wasn't going to the Pompatus of Love because I said, she ain't going to be much. And she turned out she was all right in the Buckeye for me. So I'm hoping this filly does the same. So
I guess anybody who's familiar with Ohio racing for a handful of years, that's kind of what our stable, when my dad was alive, what we were known for. We didn't spend a ton of money on horses because he wanted to have that return on investment.
Yes,
I think she's a prime example of that.
Yes, he didn't like to go over $20,000 for one, and that was pushing it for him. He always told me, like I said, they don't know what you paid for them, Kim, and they don't know their mommy and daddy. And he could make a horse, you know that. He could. I already remember he'd come in the barn and he says, I can make my mama trot. I just remember coming through there, I can make my mama trot, Kim. So.
Is she your only filly pacer?
No, I have a Summa Colada.
Okay.
If I said that right in the name.
How is this filly ranking up against your other filly or even the colt pacers?
She's, right with them. All of mine are just, there's nothing really, I could doubt them. They're going what we ask them to go, and they're all right there.
When do you let yourself start to get excited about?
I let the horse talk for itself. I don't want to get myself too pumped up. I always, I don't like to brag up my horses. I just like to let the horse do the talking for you. And then, you get nervous every time you go to the track. You get behind the gate and I'm going to puke. But, hope everybody comes out safe and you got a horse for the next race.
And what is she wearing in her mouth or on her head?
We got a happy bit and that overcheck. She was kind of a head tosser thrower. Wants to shake her head a lot, so we try to get her head set and make her mouth happy. So, but then, like I said, the chiropractor and the dentist has all been here and trying to make everybody happy. So.
There rounds our episode of Freshman Focus out. I Want Mo, a filly pacer.
Well, that wraps up another edition of Freshman Focus. We'd like to thank Deb Swartz and Kimberly Dailey for making our job real easy again on this edition. Join us again next week, same time, same location, for another edition of Freshman Focus.
This has been Freshman Focus, a look at 2-year-olds in training across the Buckeye State. Freshman Focus is presented by El Dorado Scioto Downs. Racing begins May 8th with the next generation July 5th. By Sugar Valley Farm. Looking for your next quality standardbred racehorse? Look no further than Sugar Valley Farm in Delaware, Ohio. By Prolific Equine, managing stallions and mares to create champions. By the Ohio State Veterinary Medical Center, caring down to a science. And by Wire to Wire Wealth, strategies tailored to your needs. Freshman Focus is a production of the Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association.